Hi there everybody, my name is Erin. I'm one of the educators at the Air Zoo and I'm coming to you from my house today. I am excited to kind of bring you into an awesome tool and show you how to use it. It is free on a smartphone. This tool will unlock all the secrets of observing the night sky, and it will work inside, it'll work outside. Doesn't matter if it's cloudy or sunny. It's raining outside today, so we are doing this inside, but this is a really cool app. So I happen to have an Android phone. It's called StarWalk 2. It's free. It's wonderful for any age. And they have another version of it called Star Tracker that is for iPhones. So you might wonder why I have these cool models out. One of the things that you can track with either of these apps is the International Space Station. This has been up in Earth orbit since 2000, and it has had astronauts on it for a couple months. It's even had some up there for as long as a year. And right now there are 3 astronauts living on the space station, and you can set this app to alert you when the International Space Station is visible in your night sky. So we're going to come on over here and look out the window. Come along. All right, let's go ahead and open up this app on my Android phone. It is called StarWalk 2. Just going to click on that, and it opens right up. Make sure when you use it for the first time that you do allow it to use your local information and access your phone so that it can give you that most accurate representation of what the sky looks like. And what's really cool is you probably see the water down here. That has nothing to do with my lake out the door. I'm going to have to ignore that for a minute. This is actually the horizon line, and the fact that it's water is kind of cool because you can scroll down and you can see the stars and constellations that have not risen yet up above the horizon line. So that's why it's water. But we're going to come down here, and the first thing I kind of want to show you is I'm going to click up on the compass. And what I'm going to do is be able to move, and you might notice I can aim down, I can aim up, I can look to the right, I can look through my table, through my walls. It is pretty amazing to be able to do that. And what I want to do is start out by finding our North Star. It's very easy to find, and it is a great way for you to get started in your navigation. So you probably noticed I've got north right there for us, so I've got to be close to where the North Star is. And to help me out a little bit more, I'm going to go ahead and look for Ursa Minor, which is right there. I'm going to click on Ursa Minor, and that's going to show me that constellation that I've been looking for, which is the Little Bear. And it probably looks to you an awful lot like the Little Dipper, and you are correct. It is most well known as the Little Dipper, which is actually an asterism, not an official constellation, because the official constellation is Ursa Minor. And up here we've got Polaris, which is the North Star. I'm going to click on that. And once it's selected, you'll know because it'll read on the bottom there, it'll say Polaris. And here's where the fun really starts. So now we know we're navigated properly using the compass, and the sky has frozen up for me, meaning the compass isn't going to be moving around anymore. And I like that because now I can move the phone and stay right on Polaris and not have to worry about losing it. So now I'm going to click down here where it says Polaris, and you can watch as it zooms you in and gives you this amazing 3D view of Polaris. And you'll notice it is rotating, just like everything is rotating in the universe. You even have sunspots. Polaris is a star. It is our North Star. It's very close to what we call the North Celestial Pole, but it's fairly dim. So I'm going to show you another way to find it in just a minute. But what's neat about this 3D model is you can actually move this around and change direction and look at it any way that you want to, which is cool. And up here at the little eye, that is your information icon, and it'll pull up some great information for you on whatever you are currently looking at, and then just hit that back arrow and it'll go right back to where you were. So we need to find an easier way to locate Polaris because again, it's kind of dim in the sky. So how about if we do a little time travel? Sometimes that's a little fun to do. So I'm going to go over to my clock, click on that, and you'll notice it has the current date and time. It is 6:50 p.m. And I am in the basic Kalamazoo area. And I'm going to select the minutes right now. And over here on this sidebar, if I give it just a little flick, we are going to move forward in minutes and time travel. And what this allows you to see is how it looks like the night sky is actually turning. As we know, planet Earth is actually rotating on its axis, and that Polaris star is going to always be in the north, right, almost exactly north, so it's great for navigation. But it's going to show, if I go a little faster even, there we go. One thing else you might notice is that Polaris stays put while all the other northern constellations and stars are rotating around it. So Polaris is never going to set. It is always there, which is really cool, which again is why it's so good for navigation. So we're going to click that and stop that for a minute. And up here, these two little arrows, if you click on those, it'll take you right back to where we were set earlier. And I want to help you find Polaris. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to move around and look for Ursa Major. This is the Great Bear. You probably notice it's a little bit bigger than the Little Bear. So I'm going to click on Ursa Major, and here you can see the asterism of the Big Dipper, and you can see these two kind of outside bowl stars. That's what you're going to want to look for when you're trying to find Polaris. Find the Big Dipper. It's a lot brighter, a lot easier to find than the Little Dipper, especially if you have any kind of light pollution. And if you draw a straight line from those two bowl stars all the way out, you're going to end up at Polaris. And that's the easiest way to find it. Click on Ursa Minor, and it will actually show you that entire constellation again, which is the Little Bear. So some fun things you can do with time travel. But I think this time I want to look for another constellation. Let's look for Orion. One of my favorites. So this is super easy to do. There it is. Again, seeing right through my walls. This works no matter what the weather is, and you don't even need a telescope, which is pretty cool. So I like to learn the night sky by making connections between the constellations. And the Air Zoo is getting ready to bring its library program out called Stories in the Sky. This summer, we're going to be visiting a lot of local libraries, kind of all over Michigan, Indiana. A lot of fun for us to do this every summer. But this year, we're bringing our planetarium with us on the road, and we're going to talk about the mythology and the different stories of the constellations over time, and some of them are really ancient. It's going to be a lot of fun. So maybe you can come out and visit the Air Zoo at our Stories in the Sky library program coming up this summer. But one of the ways that I've learned to find constellations, Orion's pretty easy to find. You can even make this a little bit zooming in for you, kind of like a telescope, and you can see the 3 stars of his belt, and then you can go back out again. And what's really neat is if you learn the mythology, you'll see Taurus up here. Let's click on Taurus the bull. Taurus is right close to Orion, and the mythology says that Orion was hunting Taurus. That was one of his greatest adventures, was hunting Taurus the bull. So obviously he needs to be really close to Orion. And if we go down just a little further, we're going to see another pretty cool constellation called Canis Major, the Great Dog. And the Great Dog is following along with Orion on that hunt. And Sirius is one of my favorite stars. It is the brightest star from the northern hemisphere, and really anywhere on Earth it's the brightest star. So I'm going to click on Sirius right there. And it's quite easy to find. So if you can find Sirius, you can find Orion, you can find Taurus. They're all quite close together, and it can make your navigation a little bit easier. So we're going to go back to Orion for a minute, and we're going to zoom in, just like with a telescope, but it works inside during the day. Kind of cool. And you probably notice these kind of fuzzy patches. These are called nebula. I'm going to click on that one. That's my favorite one. It's called the Orion Nebula because it's located in Orion. And if I click on Orion Nebula, it's going to do a nice zoom in and give you a beautiful photograph, probably taken by the Hubble Space Telescope would be my guess, which is up in orbit around planet Earth. And you can click on the information, and it will tell you all about the Orion Nebula. So that's a lot of fun to do as well. And just remember to look for those 4 little lines. Those will always show you what you have selected. So if you select the wrong thing, just read down on the bottom. If it doesn't match, then go ahead and click again and select a different area. So now let's try searching for the moon. The moon is one of those that I find a little hard to teach sometimes to students. So I really encourage you to use this app to learn a little bit more about the motions of the moon. And you're probably thinking, where is it? It's a pretty big object out there. And so again, we look at the 4 little lines, we look at the bottom, it's clearly selecting the moon. So we're going to zoom in, and it looks rather dark. And that is because we are currently in what we call the new moon phase. This means that the half of the sphere that's lit is actually the half that we are currently looking at. It means that Earth is looking at the moon, and the moon is in between the Earth and the sun. And you can see it's kind of bright over here. That's where the sun is right now. And so half of a circle, half of a sphere, think of it like a beach ball, is always lit, always. It's just that right now the Earth is looking at the shadowed side of the moon. So let's do a little time travel. Let's go back up here, and this time we're going to click on hours. And don't get dizzy, but here we go. Let's give it a little speed up here, and you can watch on the top what's happening. This is really cool. It's basically taking the next 2 weeks. I'm going to go 2 weeks forward, and we're going to watch those different phases. We had the crescent. It's coming up on first quarter, which is really cool, and you'll see that the moon is moving or orbiting around Earth, and it's about to go on the other side of the Earth. So now the Earth is in between the moon and the sun. And once it makes it all the way halfway around, which takes about 2 weeks, you can start to see what looks to us much familiar like our moon. And so we're going to stop it right about there. You can look up and see the date of when our full moon is going to occur. And this is pretty cool because now it looks like something we definitely recognize, and you can zoom in, which is a lot of fun. We've already done that pretty well. Let's click down here on moon and see what other options we have. One of my favorites is to go over here and look at the layers. Pretty neat. It'll tell you all about the layers of the moon, and we can even hit what looks like a little telescope there, and that will show us the landing sites of the 6 manned landings that have been in the news so much. It's last year was the 50th anniversary of the moon landings, and you can of course zoom in, and you can find there's Apollo 11 right there at the Sea of Tranquility. So much you can do with this. It really is an amazing free app. I encourage you to get it. And I promised you the International Space Station. So let's do that in our search. Pretty cool, really easy to do. Make sure you turn on your notification for the International Space Station. Again, this is free. It will alert you when it is visible above the horizon in your night sky. And I can just sort of see those 4 little, there they are, those 4 little lines. I can see it has selected the International Space Station, which is right now in orbit about 220 miles above the Earth's surface. It's orbiting around planet Earth. It takes about 90 minutes to go all the way around one time. And I'm just going to do a little motion because I think right now, I'm just trying to see, I'm pretty sure it is below the horizon right now, but it's not going to actually let me see right now. So I'm just going to click on International Space Station, let it zoom in. This is pretty cool. It's in its 3D mode, which allows you to kind of drag and spin the space station around. And this space station has had people on it since 2020. 16 nations helped build it, and it's really amazing that it's been up there for 20 years now, and an awful lot of cool science being done. So this is just a great tool for you to watch, and again, you can look for those notifications, and you will not be able to see it every day. Its orbit does change. It doesn't always cross over the state of Michigan. So I hope you've enjoyed this. Lots of fun. You can also click on this in other sidebar and hit additional content. I did do this because I was looking for some of the other options, and I did have to pay maybe $2.99. I got deep sky objects, which are lots of other nebulas. I got the satellites. I did get the extended solar system as well, and some of that has just a little bit of an extra charge, one-time charge. But even without any of that, you still get all the constellations and everything else that we have been looking at today. So I hope you've enjoyed learning a little bit about StarWalk 2 for the Android phone, and check out Star Tracker if you have an iPhone, and enjoy looking at the night sky. Take care.